back to Miss Cindy's Kitchen. Tonight I'm going to show you a new recipe that'll be new for us and new for you. And it's from my Crock-Pot cookbook. As you can tell, it's well loved. And it's Caribbean pork chops. And it calls for 8 1-inch thick lean boneless pork chops. So these are actually 1/2 inch thick. That's the cut that I got them at Costco. And the spices that are called for seem to be a lot. And we can't have too much spicy in this household. So I'm going to cut the spices in half because the pork chops are half the thickness that the recipe calls for. So I'm going to read you off the ingredients and then I'll go through and measure them. So be 1 teaspoon of ground allspice. And I have all my spices in a tray and I write their names on the cap. Just makes it easier to find. So it's a teaspoon of allspice, teaspoon of black pepper, teaspoon of cinnamon, teaspoon of nutmeg, and 4 teaspoons of thyme. This is itty bitty container. So that's actually going to be 2 teaspoons because we're doing half.
I guess you need more time.
Yeah. If only I had time in a bottle. I got a little canister here. And then a cup of, it calls for scallions, which are green onions, and I didn't have those, so I'm going to substitute some white onion and put about 1/2 cup in there. And then a total of 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. And it calls for 4 tablespoons of fresh ginger. And since ginger is very potent dried, I'm going to drop that down to like a teaspoon of dried ginger. So I don't have the fresh. And then it calls for 2 habanero chili peppers seeded and minced. Now that would pack quite a gut punch. And I don't have habaneros, but I do have some crushed pepper. So I'm going to put a sprinkle of that in lieu of the habaneros. And then 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, and 2 teaspoons of sugar, and a teaspoon of salt. And I have my spice pantry quite extensive. I have 4 trays that are to go with all my spices, and then I have 2 small trays. So I have quite a bit of spices, but I cook a lot. So anyway, we're going to go through and add our ingredients. So we have a teaspoon of allspice. Alright, and then it was a teaspoon of black pepper. Ding, ding, ding. Should have used a plastic bowl. This was a little noisy. Alright, so I can't imagine if using the full amount of black pepper. So that's a lot of pepper. So then 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and that's actually the original recipe, so the pepper got a little kick back into my throat, so excuse me for a second. Gonna pack a punch. So I think when I serve it, I'm going to serve it with some plain white rice. So it's a teaspoon of cinnamon.
So the pepper doesn't make you sneezy.
Yeah. Well, right now I'll be the extra dwarf because I'm sleepy. Alright. So we have a teaspoon of nutmeg. Alright. I'm going to wipe off the other spice here. Alright. I had this happen to me last time, so need to get the skinnier measuring spoons. So I'm going to use a 1/2 teaspoon twice. So, because the 1 teaspoon just won't fit. So I'm probably going to have the same thing happen with ginger, so I'm going to go ahead and use the 1/2 teaspoon twice for the ginger. Alright. Oh, my nose is still tickling from the pepper. Oh my goodness. Put that lid back on, and then 2 teaspoons of thyme. You can't put thyme in a bottle, but you can put it in a little bitty spice canister. I had this problem before when I used it. it's such a teeny tiny hole for some big spice flakes. I'll be here all day tapping the darn thing. All right. Let's see here. What can I use to poke a hole in it? We'll use a fork. I'm done. Stick a fork in it. All right. See this little tiny canister here? If I had one of those little bamboo skewers, that would probably work well to open it. So, anyway, we're going to do that. All right. Make it work. We're back finally. It took us some time to get the thyme open, and I don't know if you all have trouble with your spice bottles because it has this itty bitty little spout and thyme is little bitty leaves. And I had to use the little pick end of the bottle opener to get that little thing opened up and use a bamboo pick to kind of help the thyme to come out of the bottle.
Yeah, whoever made that bottle didn't think it all through. Didn't
Yeah.
put enough time and effort into it.
I know, so we're going to call that 2 teaspoons. So I'm going to just do the half teaspoon, so an estimate. So that's 1.5, so close enough. 2 teaspoons of thyme. So thyme in a bottle is really difficult to get back, so make the most of your time, okay? And then we have let's see, I put the ginger in already. Then we
Yes.
have the thyme. And then you need 2 teaspoons of salt. So that would actually be 1 teaspoon. And 1 teaspoon of salt. And then 2 teaspoons of sugar. Gotta add some sweet for all that spice. Whoops.
I don't want to add too much.
No, not too much. Okay, so we're going to move these things out of the way so we can see what's going on. And before I put the wet ingredients in, I'm going to mix up the dry spices. Now, imagine, if you will, if I had put in the recommended amounts, it would be double this amount of spice. And I think that is just a little bit too much. So now we're going to add the wet ingredients to this mixture. So that would be 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. And it's always good to have little measuring pitchers for your liquids.
How old are those?
These I've had since you were little. So I've had them for probably about 17 years. Or 16. I can't remember how old you were when we got them. So 3 teaspoons of soy sauce.
That's how you know they're old.
Yeah. And as far as the garlic, it would be a total of 2 tablespoons of garlic. Can you imagine if I put 4 tablespoons of garlic in here? All the vampires in Transylvania would be going, no, that'd be too much. All right, so 1.
I'll give you a kiss.
Hoo-wee, it's gonna be spicy. So I think it'll go well with some white rice to mellow it out. So this is a 1/4 cup. So I think that's probably enough onion, but I'll put in just a little bit more. That can go in something else. So I'm gonna use the whisk again. It'll be kind of like a mortar and pestle to mix everything together. See, doesn't that look yummy?
Yeah.
It's gonna make you sneeze. It's spicy.
That's why I'm standing over here.
Like, why is it so spicy?
Garlic and pepper.
Yes, very spicy. So what we're gonna do now?
Don't forget the peppers.
Yes, the peppers. Thank you.
The actual spicy part.
This is what happens when you set food up for the next day, the night before. You're a little tired, but I think a half a packet of
What happens
peppers.
when you record at 10 at night?
Well, sometimes life gets busy, and that's what we can do. So, at least I'm gonna go to bed with clean sinuses. Woo-wee!
Really good tonight.
Yeah. All right. I'm getting a little bitty scraper. All right. So, Now we are going to rub this onto the pork chops. So we're going to rub it on the pork chops. Rub, rub, rub.
Rub the grub.
Yep. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this in the refrigerator overnight. And then before I head out in the morning, I'll set it on to cook. And the recommended temperature is low for 7 to 9 hours, which is a work day for most people, or high for 4 to 5 hours.
So this would be something you would like put on just before you're about ready to leave for work.
Yeah. It's just like when I prep the beans the night before, you know, so they can soak, and then I finish them up in the morning. It's kind of the same idea. You do your prep work the night before, and then put them in the crock pot.
The 9 to 5 meals.
Yeah, so this way it's pretty much, dinner will be mostly done when I get home tomorrow. And then I'm going to rub the spices on both sides. So I'm just going to rub it on each other here.
Oh, what a technique.
Hey, whatever works. The pork chops want to rub each other. They're going to be in the crock pot all day together. Alright.
This is a family channel.
That's what you think.
Alright. So the pork chops are going to marinate in this spice overnight. Logan, our usual second cameraman, is at rehearsal because he has a show starting tomorrow.
Here, you can take this camera. I'll go call it.
All right.
Alright. So we're rubbing the spices on both sides of the pork chops.
Now, why do you put them in the crock pot rather than just leave them in the pan and cover them?
One last thing to do in the morning. I'll just take them out of the fridge, let them, when I first get up, let them come to room temperature while I'm getting ready for work, and then before I leave, I'll set the crock pot for the cooking time. So that way they're already in the cooking vessel ready to go in the morning. I was just using this pan to stage them. So our pork chops are ready. So they are going to sit overnight in the refrigerator, and then again let them come to room temperature before you set them on to cook, and that will be low for 7 to 9 hours or high 4 to 5 hours. So tomorrow evening when these are finished cooking, we will show you what they look like and how they taste. We'll be back with you soon. We're back, and thanks again for tuning into Miss Cindy's Kitchen, and please like, subscribe, and share to your friends. And it is the next evening after work, and I put the pork chops on to cook before I left this morning, and to go with it I made some rice, some sauteed zucchini, and some cucumber. So let me fix a plate, and then we can show you how the pork chops turned out and how they taste. So I'm going to get some rice. And there's a debate, do we wash rice before we cook it, or do we just cook it straight away?
Wash.
That's, yeah. Yeah, and by washing your rice, you can control the starchiness. And I'm going to put some of the meat juice on the rice.
Ooh.
And the pork chops seemed a tad dry when I got home, so I put a cup of chicken broth in them and let them sit in that for a few minutes to reabsorb.
Now, why do you think they got dry?
Well, there wasn't any moisture in the recipe. Some things have like a little bit of moisture when you cook it. This one didn't.
Okay.
So I think in the future when I cook it, I will put in some broth or something. So the pork chops are nice and dark and rich. So we're going to have a little taste test here.
Okay. I get lucky. I get to be the taste tester today. Mm-hmm. So let me try the pork chop.
And I think because the pork chops were thinner, I could have reduced the cook time. I think they're a little bit slightly overcooked, but I think it was a good recipe to try out.
That's really good.
Yeah, so what do you think?
It's good. It's really good. I can really taste the sauce in the pork chop. It's really good. I'll take a even bite from the rice.
And I'll fix a plate for Maddie.
My hair is so nice.
It's okay. This pork chop, the port.
We also have another guest to taste test.
No, she don't get a taste test.
All right.
I will say this: the pork chops are really tender in cooking like this because it kind of falls apart when I cut it.
I can get some on a fork.
Kind of like the fruit crisp the other night, huh?
That's really good though.
It is really good.
Yeah.
And it's not spicy, even with the pepper flakes. It's not spicy.
You want to try some?
Yeah, here, I'll try some so I can taste the recipe.
The cook should be able to taste their own food.
That's good.
It is really good.
I think this would pair well with, well, Dolly is going to get her taste test after all. That one piece dropped on the floor. I think this would taste really good with a sweet counterpart. So anyway, thank you again for watching us here at Miss Cindy's Kitchen. We're going to go ahead and have our dinner because we have a hot date to go see our son in a play tonight. So we're going to be heading out shortly. So just remember to like and subscribe and share and give us your feedback. And we'll do our best to post the recipe in the description. And we'll see you again soon. Have a nice evening.
Thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen. To get more recipes like this one, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications when new videos are uploaded. Share it out to your friends, family, and neighbors, and leave us a comment to let us know how this recipe worked for you. And don't forget to hit that like button. Again, thank you for watching Miss Cindy's Kitchen.